It starts off pretty brutal. You're just like, whoa, okay, so that just happened. Literally, someone's wig was snatched. If you've seen it already, you'll know exactly what I mean. And if you haven't, you will soon know what I mean. There's a lot of people living in this apartment. It's a high rise. Like, what could go wrong? But they made it spooky. Kid Cudi is a huge Evil Dead fan. He even loves this franchise and is so inspired by it. Hey everyone, we're gonna try something new this time. I'm gonna be talking Evil Dead Rise, a quick review, hopefully quick, and have some coffee while we do it. Okay, so Evil Dead Rise. Now, if you're a big Evil Dead franchise fan, I say you go see it. We have Bruce Campbell, who worked on the project, of course Sam Raimi, and we have a load of actors and actresses who really killed it, yes, pun intended. If you are new to Evil Dead and the franchise, then I think this is something for you to get a taste of what it's like. And it's not exactly like the original from the 80s, but just see what you like from this. Now, I will say there are some spoilers I'm going to mention here, so here we go. It first starts off by grabbing you like really quickly. It's like, whoa, okay, so that just happened. Literally, someone's wig was snatched. If you've seen it already, you'll know exactly what I mean. And if you haven't, you will soon know what I mean. So it starts off pretty brutal. And I do love the way that there is a scene where someone comes out of the water in a lake during the daytime or evening, still some light outside. And as that person ascends from the lake into the sky, like this, from the water into the sky, they're just like arms out, legs out like that. From behind them are hills or mountains, and behind the mountains or hills is the title of the movie that rises up behind the hills, so kind of like that. And it says Evil Dead Rise in the type of font that is used in a lot of the previous and original movies. So that for me is a huge win. Like, I love little things like that. It's like a nod to the original and like a throwback, you know. We all love that kind of nostalgia here. So that was great. And then the fact that this movie took place in LA, it's the first time it's taken place in that city or area, and also in like a high-rise apartment setting. So albeit like an older building, but you know, that was a first. I have to say, I didn't know how they would make that spooky, you know, like there's a lot of people living in this apartment, it's a high-rise and all that. Like, what could go wrong? But they made it spooky. It's just a mom on her own with her kids. I think the youngest, she looks like she's about 6, and then all the way to like some teenage children. And then this mother's sister comes to stay with her. She needs help. The sister needs help. But the thing is, the mom is the one who ends up needing help for obvious reasons. One of the kids discovers an old like collection of records. There's this big earthquake and it opens up this wall where they find these records, and this kid DJs and does music stuff, and so of course the kid plays the record on the record player real loud and awakens this evil entity. Speaking of which, in the original, they would always show in the Evil Dead when demons or entities are coming for someone or they want to possess someone. It's the way they film it. It's like point of view of the entity, and it's going really quickly like a snake. So they stuck with that, which that's one of the biggest things I love of the original. Of course, kid plays this record super loud. The mom is getting something and the entity's awoken and goes straight to the mom, and I mean, you know, the rest of the story. Mom is possessed and a lot of disturbing things follow. So one by one, the family's kind of getting possessed and doing wild things. It's not for the faint of heart, for sure, you know. So if you're not someone who's seen Saw, if you're not fine with that kind of stuff, then this isn't your movie. But a lot of, you know, kind of that level gore and things happen, and there's humor mixed in there. at the heart of it, it's really someone's bond with family and proving that they are there for their family, even though they didn't think they could be. So like there's that at the heart of it all too, which is nice to have that emotional tie and connection. I think that's important to get the attention of your audience and kind of win them over while all this like stuff is happening that's very horror, bloody stuff, demonic activity. So you got to balance it out, right? So all that happens, and now it's down to the sister and one of her nieces, the 6-year-old, and it's just up to them to like make it through, and they're able to fight off this entity who consumed everybody else and created itself in one entity looking like a spider, kind of like if you've seen The Thing, like John Carpenter's The Thing, you know how like it absorbs everybody and becomes this like kind of spider looking thing. So like that. So this woman and her niece, they're able to fight off the entity, so they think. And so they go off and she picks up why can't I think of it? A chainsaw. Hello. You know, remember Ash? So Ash had his chainsaw, and it's just very iconic in the franchise. So at the very end, this lady, before she leaves with her niece, she picks up the chainsaw on the floor and she like walks out with it. So I hope that means there's gonna be a second one. We don't know, but I'm thinking that's what it's gonna be. You know how movies, they start with the most recent and they go back in time? Well, that's what they did. So the start of the movie was a whole different family or different people, and then it focused the majority of the movie on the family I'm talking about now, with the one surviving woman with her niece, and then it goes back to the people from the beginning. So all this stuff happened in the apartment. The lady and her niece walk away. They thought they got rid of everything, but then there's someone who comes out the same apartment building, and she's on her way somewhere. She's in the parking garage and she notices like this car that's like covered in red, and you know what I mean. So she's like curious, of course, and she goes and she's like, oh my god, what's going on? She's freaking out. She's realizing like this is a scene of something that happened, you know, a crime scene or whatever. And so all of a sudden you see the pan of an entity comes to possess. It shows that, and it goes right to her. That's the person in the beginning who does all the spooky stuff. It's kind of like that, you know, where it starts out with the latest thing, they go back in time, and then full circle back to the beginning of the movie, how it started. I do want to say that whoever played the aunt, I loved her acting. It was really real, and you could feel the vulnerability and kind of the shamefulness, and you'll see why when you watch it, why she feels that way, but then also her strength and her will to live and protect her niece and her family, even though she thought she couldn't do it. So there's kind of a story of perseverance there too, which we're big on this channel. If you watched any of the Evil Dead movies, you know they like to make them super, it's like gross. You know, especially the original Evil Dead. If you haven't seen it, go see it. You'll know what I mean. For today's time, with all the effects and the makeup we have compared to like the early 80s, you know, like the mom who was possessed. I mean, the way they made her look was really creepy. I wouldn't want to see her in the hallway, if you know what I mean. You know, pass her in the elevator. Did a great job with that. I just think the kids did a great job. Very believable. There was just so much happening, and I was so excited that it came out better than I thought it would be. Not that I thought it would be bad, but like I was like, oh, maybe like a 7.5 and 8, but no, this is a solid 8.5, maybe pushing it to an 8.7, just from the campiness of it all, to the humor, to the gore, the guts, just the overall horror, everything that an Evil Dead movie would be and should be. This is coming from someone who loves the original from the early 80s, as well as Evil Dead 2, Army of Darkness, so on and so forth. I would see it again even, and I'm someone who does not like to blow money willy-nilly. So if that says anything, and if anybody knows me, I'm not someone who's just gonna spend money and not think about it before, but definitely worth seeing at least once. That's that in a nutshell. I hope that was clear. I do want to say that I learned that Kid Cudi is a huge Evil Dead fan. When he was 7 years old, that's when he started watching horror movies, and he's loved them ever since. And one of the first movies he's ever seen was the original Evil Dead. So, I mean, you have Kid Cudi, a treasure, not just musically, but he even loves this franchise and is so inspired by it. And I think he's working on a horror project right now, so stay tuned for that. You know, I'm gonna definitely follow Kid Cudi closer now because of that, see what's in store. I had no idea that Sam Raimi, the director behind the Evil Dead franchise, he also did like the Spider-Man movies as well, and just look up Sam Raimi and you'll know. But I did not know, before Evil Dead came out in the early 80s, before the first one, he did a short film called Within the Woods, In the Woods. I hope I'm saying it correctly. If I'm not, I'll correct myself somewhere in here. It was a short film, horror film, like a prequel to Evil Dead, and that came out in 1978. I think it's only like 30 minutes long, so definitely like a short film, and I really want to see it, you know, like that's the inspiration or the beginnings of the Evil Dead franchise, and what it grew to be today is like super huge following, lots of fans, and Bruce Campbell stars in this prequel short film as well, so he and Sam have been like this for a long time, so that was really cool to learn. I hope this setting is spooky and you're feeling it. I just wanted to try something different. It's not my favorite, I will say, but with my lack of a proper stand for my phone across from me, this is what I got. Sometimes you just gotta put things out. Don't overthink it. It's better to put it out than keep waiting and waiting and waiting for the perfect time. So hope you all like this. Remember, keep persevering, stay safe. Nostalchica.